Howdy, howdy, howdy. This is just going to be a quick one. I am doing my own little first impressions review of Jurassic World Evolution. I do not have the game. I'd love to play it, but the price tag is rather steep at the moment, so that'll have to wait until I can afford to get a copy of the game. But I still would honestly really like to play it. So my review is based off of watching other people play. And I don't know why anyone would have a problem with that since, I'm acting as an observer and giving my thoughts on what I've observed. So let's start with the positives. So I've watched Lionheart, Total War Gamer playing the game, and 3 or 4 others. I probably watched about 20 hours of people playing this game. So I think I've accumulated enough data to give a good enough impression here. And honestly, I think there's a lot of good points about the game. I would like to start with the positives. As of now, if you buy the deluxe version, you have, I think, 42 dinosaurs, and they're going to be releasing an update, I believe tomorrow, to coincide with the American release of the new movie, and that's going to add 6 more, so almost 50 dinosaurs within just a short time of releasing the game, so plenty of dinosaur variety. That's a good thing. The ability to modify their genetics and do interesting things with that is kind of neat, but I've noticed it really doesn't affect them too much unless you have an actual mission. Like I've watched one person play, and the mission is the Dionysus, I believe, the raptor, basically, with the frill. And the mission is you modify it, and of course it acts differently because of the mission. Most of the time when you add in genetic modifications, it doesn't seem to alter the dinosaurs at all, unless you use one of the skin mods, which is purely cosmetic. So I'd like to actually see those modifications do something in the future, because honestly, at this point, it just feels like playing with stats more than actually creating hybrid dinosaurs. And again, I want to talk about positives. And I think that all the genetic modification stuff is definitely a positive. It adds more depth to creating the dinosaurs. Because, I mean, if you want to do it mathematically, with all the little genetic tweaks you can make on them, with, again, nearly 50 dinosaurs, and there's always going to be the inevitable DLC packs. I figure flying dinosaurs and aquatic dinosaurs are going to be DLC, almost certainly, at some point down the road, as well as expansion packs. And honestly, personally, I have no problem with DLC, as long as it actually feels like it adds something or substantially expands on something within a game, and the price tag isn't ridiculous. The nickel and diming bullshit is a bit much that some companies try to do. But for the most part, from what I see, most companies that do DLC, they release stuff that either gives you new experiences within the game or substantially expands on something within the game. And of course, the price tag, whether it's ridiculous or not, is more of a personal thing. But of course, the point there, again, trying to stay positive, is that there will be substantial increases over time to the dinosaur numbers within the park that you get to play with, and that all the little genetic mods means that you can have myriads of permutations. Be a little bit Ian Malcolm there. Lots of little things you can try, but as I said, as of now, it feels like those genetic mods are more just tweaking stats than actually doing anything to the dinosaurs. So I would like to see them do something with the dinosaurs other than just tweak their background stats. actually feel like hybrids, other than just like the Indominus Rex, and I think the Indoraptor is one of the new ones coming in. Other than those being true hybrids, I would like to see just the generic dinosaurs. I say generic dinosaurs with kind of the bunny ear quotes there. Get some tweaking done when you modify their gene as well. Even if it's just small things, like if you add the shark DNA, maybe, I don't know, make them have like a more rougher skin look to them, something. Just make the mods do something more than just tweak background stats, game stats. That's really what I'm saying, is that it doesn't feel like it does anything but tweak in-game stats, which is not life, you know? So basically the dinosaur stuff is very robust, as it should be. And that is the biggest positive of the game. I love the Jurassic Park franchise. I saw the original movie as a kid. It was an awe-invoking sight. I enjoyed all the movies, even the ones that other people, for some reason, hate for whatever reason. I enjoy all four of them for the various reasons. And I like park sims. I like the Roller Coaster Tycoon series, for example. I haven't played any of them for a long time, but I did enjoy them when I was playing them. So the game has a lot to offer to fans of both. But there are some issues with it, and now I'm going to move from the positives into some of the things that I think need some serious tweaking, or just seem a little bit strange to me. Honestly, for the price tag, I don't think the game has enough content. Yes, the dinosaur side of it is excellent, and you would want it to be. But the park side of it is incredibly bare bones. Maybe it's just the Roller Coaster Tycoon fan in me speaking, but the lack of things like park benches and decorations, that needs to be an ASAP free LC pack add-on. Absolutely 150%. I'll try to stay kid-friendly here for the most part. That has to be added in. They have got to add in more actual park simulator stuff. Okay, they don't have to go full tilt where every single person has their own identity. It would be nice. They don't have to do that. But things like park benches and trash cans, things that you would actually see in a real life theme park, they have got to add that stuff in. Even if only as decor. Because I've actually heard some of the people saying this that are I've watched play the game, and I fully agree. At times, especially before you build some of the stuff, the park feels lifeless. When you go look at the dinosaurs feel alive, but the park itself feels like game. Where Roller Coaster Tycoon, you really get that one of those parks, your theme parks build up. It feels like an actual theme park. At times, this doesn't. It feels like game too much. Like the park stuff is just there so that you can play with dinosaurs. Well, if all they wanted to do was make a dinosaur life simulator, then why have the theme park stuff? If you're gonna have a theme park basis for the game, then actually let people create a theme park and have thematic decorations. Mascots is something that's missing from like the Roller Coaster Tycoon type stuff. Being able to have on-ground mascots, signage, all that kind of decoration stuff. They have got to add that in to help bring the park aspects to life more. And, just they need more buildings. I know that's going to get added in with DLC, and I hope they don't try to nickel and dime their way for every last little thing. But they need more buildings. Again, even if they don't uh, expand a whole lot on gameplay options. Just having variety, they need it. Especially with the price tag at over $50. I mean, if you're getting the deluxe version, you're heading towards $60. And if you once they start having paid DLC, it's gonna push it over $60 just to get the base game and whatever the first DLC pack is, unless they're like a couple of dollars for small additions, which would be fair. So the price tag is really high, and I know part of that is the licensing and voice acting because they got the actual actors and actresses. Well, the actress. They got everybody except for Guardians of the Galaxy. His name is escaping me at the moment. Chris Pratt. No, that's Thor. It'll pop into my head sometime later. But yeah, they didn't get him, but everybody else is the actual actors and actresses. So Jeff Goldblum, B.D. Wong, uh, Bryce Howard, Bryce David, yeah, her. So they did get people from the movies to do voice acting. That's not going to be cheap. The licensing aspects aren't cheap. I know that. But if you're going to charge people the kind of money that you're charging, you need to give them content to back it up. And at this point, I'd love to play the game. I really would, but not at that price tag. My next biggest issue with it is some of the decisions from like micro and macro management that are a little bit ridiculous, especially things like having to micromanage feeding the dinosaurs, medicating the dinosaurs, a lot of the stuff that the ranger station does, and you have to tell them to do it. That's ridiculous. That should be just one of those things. Like again, going back to Roller Coaster Tycoon, you hired mechanics and janitors and like mascots and stuff. I believe the zoo ones had like zoo handlers and whatnot. You hired staff, and then they had a zone that they could maintain efficiently. And then if you needed another one, you hired another one, and they had their zone that they managed efficiently. So having to micromanage all of that stuff is a bit ridiculous. And I've heard some people describe it as grindy gameplay, and I can see that comparison. So yeah, having to micromanage that stuff is a bit ridiculous. While some of the power stations, you have to micromanage every last little SOBian aspect of your power stations, and yet the shops, they sell one item. And that's a decision I don't understand, why they would force you to micromanage something like power, but then make pretty much all the other aspects of the park so macro that it's kind of silly. I don't understand why they wouldn't give you options for your stores. If they can add in better stores, that's another priority for me, I'd say. Because I feel like the park management side of it is split up between these bizarre micromanagement things that shouldn't be micromanaged, and so macro that it's goofy at times that it makes no sense. And again, stores should be able to sell a variety of items. You should be able to start with like hat stands and shirt stands that only sell maybe a handful of different t-shirts and hats and stuff based on what you have unlocked dinosaur-wise and what's in the park. Okay, so if you have the Triceratops in your park, you can sell Triceratops t-shirts and hats. Stegosaurus, so on and so forth. I don't always remember the names of the dinosaurs. The Strothmimus that you start off with. so on and so forth. The different dinosaurs should unlock different clothing and toy options. And then you can add those into your stores. And you should have different levels of stores. Okay? And like that should be just part of the research and development aspect, is being able to unlock going from hat and shirt, stands to small stores, medium stores, large stores. Okay? And they should have some zone of effect, which they do already have, but they should also have some real world logic behind them. As far as I can tell, the game has absolutely zero footpath management. Okay, other than needing to control traffic flow using things like the monorail that you see in the trailer here, footpath management doesn't matter for Zip. Again, that should be important for the park management side of things. Because in a real world park, theme park, and they do this in Roller Coaster Tycoon, where you put stuff matters. Okay, it isn't like, oh, this area over here needs food, so I can just stick some food way over here, something that sells food way over here, and everybody will be cool. They'll just go over and eat. Oh no, like in Roller Coaster Tycoon, if you put something on a path where people aren't moving to, it makes no money. It just costs you money. So if they can add in better stores and expand on the entire storefront aspects of the park management, and somehow add in some footpath management so that foot traffic matters to your stores and stuff, they need to. Because again, for the price tag that they're asking for this game, the park management aspects are childish. And I very rarely use that word. When I say childish, I don't mean whatever most people probably mean by childish. I mean, they're so basic, it's almost why bother. I mean, why force people to micromanage power supply and some of the other stuff that they force you to micromanage when everything else is so basic? They should make it, as long as you've got the money, then let people build whatever the hell they want. I mean, if you're not going to let people actually do park management like a park management game, then why bother having any kind of micro or macro management? Just let people build shit. Okay, I'm getting a little kid-friendly there, but that part really irritates me about this game. As much as I'd love to play it, I love the dinosaur aspects of it, but the park management side is woefully lacking. I'm looking at my little notes here. So the time scale is the next thing. I know that all sim games, whether it's like Roller Coaster Tycoon or any other kind of whatever tycoon, whatever management, whatever simulator, all those games, there is an aspect of abstract going on. Time scales get a little funny, because you don't want people actually sitting there waiting forever for things to build, while at the same time, you don't want time passing too quickly. So it's almost like there are some things that are moving almost real time, some things that are moving at hyper accelerated time, and time gets a little wonky. But in this game, they added in one feature that I call it a feature loosely here, that makes the time scale being so wonky irritating. And that's dinosaurs dying on you. Okay, nobody knows what the actual lifespans of dinosaurs were, but if we compare them to equivalent-sized animals that exist today, elephants can live for decades. Dogs can live for decades. I know that the dinosaurs aren't mammals, but there are also birds that can live for decades. They aren't necessarily short lifespan animals. They probably weren't in terms of dying of old age. They probably died all the time of what you would call, well, It's natural to be eaten. It's natural for the predator to eat. But when we're talking about dying of purely natural causes, which for most people translates to old age, whether it's, dying of disease is also natural. Not pleasant, but natural. So dying of old age. Trying to figure out the time scale of the game is a bit silly. So how do you determine it? For example, I think the Struthomymus, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, that you start off with, I believe has an age number of around 60 to start with. So that 60 what? Is that supposed, obviously not years, so months? I mean, that's not a very long lifespan. It's about 5 years, so I suppose it would be equivalent to some animals. But still not very long. So is it a month a minute in the game? There's no explanation for the time scale. And it wouldn't matter if it wasn't for the fact that dinosaurs die. For me, the dinosaurs dying is one of the most game mechanics in the game. If you understand what I'm saying. I mean, it is one of the most blatant game mechanics. Something that was put in just to force you to do something, game-wise. They gave the dinosaurs a lifespan, not as a realism issue, but to force you to restock your supplies, as it were. And I think that's a bit ridiculous. They should have an option to turn that off. They need to add that in. Or just take it out of the game, because it really doesn't make much sense, and it's more annoying than it is useful. Either take it out or let people turn it off, one or the other. Because they just die too fast. Like I said, even the Struthomymus, I think, if we're talking the size that they are to equivalent animals, at least 10 years. You'd think. Obviously, it's all hypothetical. But really, to me, it's just that time scale is just entirely down because of the dinosaurs being able to die of old age. It makes the time scale of the game very wonky. Because, I mean, if you looked at it from a realism point of view, you'd never have time to build your park because you'd be dead before you could ever accomplish anything at some of the time scales it seems to play at for the dinosaurs. It's just really wonky. Lastly, the contract and mission stuff, that could all be a lot more varied and a little bit, maybe not so much deeper, but just varied. Some of the voice acting for that stuff could be a lot more varied. It seems like the main missions and stuff, you get interactions, you get interesting dialogue, you have stuff that happens, from the contracts, and things happen. But all the basic ones, they're incredibly repetitive. It's usually they've got like a handful of dialogue things for each of the division characters: science, entertainment, and security. And you get one of those messages for the basic missions, and then when you finish it, you get a basic "attaboy" kind of message. They could have done a lot more with that, and they could have varied the missions a bit more. And they don't even seem all that specific to the divisions. They're all the same basic stuff. Breed a dinosaur. Go on an expeditions. Let's see. Do this thing for a certain amount of time. The basic missions are all the same basic things across all three divisions. There's no real anything to distinguish those missions to each division, unlike the main missions. And the dialogue is all the same basic stuff over and 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 over again. So that definitely could have been more robust. I mean, come on, you've got Jeff Goldblum and other voice, Jeff Goldblum, B.D. Wong. You've got Bryce Howard. What? Bryce something Howard or Bryce Howard something. The lady from the last movie and the one that's just about to come out here. You got those people in it, and you got another voice actor to do Owen from the movie, because they couldn't get the real guy. And then you've got four other voice actors, I should say, because you've also got the main dude that's kind of the Hammond character, sleazy Hammond character. Although in the book, Hammond was actually pretty damn sleazy, because he was not a nice, grandfatherly, friendly old man in the book. But that's a completely different thing. So you've got all these voice actors, but, why not do more with them? For the missions and stuff. Like, was it really that hard to come up with some extra dialogue and actually come up with a more... come up with a better variety of stuff? Is it really too much to ask? Especially charging almost $60 for a damn game. So, just to kind of recap now, I don't think some of the stuff in the game is worth a price tag. The dinosaur management side of it is very robust, it's very entertaining, and on that alone, I would say if you're really into that sort of stuff, it's worth buying. It looks like a lot of fun. I've enjoyed watching other people play, and I still would honestly like to buy the game and play it myself, because I really enjoyed Jurassic Park World stuff. And the park management aspects are enough of them are there to make it worth playing the game. But at the price tag they're asking for, and they're going to be adding in paid DLC, they need to significantly expand on the park management stuff to justify some of the micromanagement things of, like, micromanaging the power. They need to expand on all the other park management stuff. Because, like I said earlier, I do not understand why they force you to micromanage the power grid, micromanage feeding the dinosaurs and all the ranger station stuff, but then things like your stores sell one item. That needs a complete overhaul and expansion, significant expansion. Not having any kind of thematic decor or even basic decor for the park. There's just a ton of stuff missing from the park management side of things. And for the price tag they're asking for, they need to add that back. They need to put it in. Having dinosaurs die with the time scale, they need to take that out or let people turn it off, because it's just stupid. And I don't know if they're going to add in mission packs or something like that, but with all the missions you get from the 3 different divisions, they need to do more to expand on that, because right now, like I said, the missions are the exact same thing across all 3 divisions. There's absolutely nothing to distinguish the basic missions that you get one division to the next. The major missions that you unlock stuff with, yes, those are distinguished per division, but the basic ones are not. It does not matter. You could be getting that mission from any of the 3. It would not make one damn bit of difference. And the dialogue that you get for the basic missions is so repetitive. I can very easily see people getting irritated by it by the time you get through all the islands. How many times do you need to hear, I want this contract, so should you. Or some variation thereof, and then when you finish, that-a-boy. Some variation thereof. It's incredibly repetitive. I would like to see them expand on all of that, the basic missions. because those are the ones you experience the most often. They should not be that uh, generic. They should not be that repetitive. So, yeah, I think that covers my little review. Like I said, there are some things about the game that are beautiful. The graphics are lovely. I mean, it's an amazing looking game. And all the dinosaur stuff is great, but the park management side is absolutely abysmal as far as I'm concerned. So, in the future, they really, really need to expand on the park management and actually make it more of a park management game. Not just Dino Simulator with extras. Thanks for listening. That is going to wrap up the stream. I think I'm probably going to be streaming one of the games I've been playing after this for a little while. So if you're interested, stick around. But if not, see you later. Bye bye.